The ballot or the bullet, freedom or death. We gas ourselves up, but we short on breath. Talking about we eating, but who we really cooking. Dreaming about greens, but ain't nobody looking. No land, no acres, no seeds in the ground. When the hunger hits, who's gonna be around? We starving every day, and it just ain't the food. Feeding the hood garbage, got 'em acting a fool. We flossing with rides, stunting with chains, but these bars we spitting just bring more pain. We guilty as hell, preaching all these lies, selling debt to the kids, and we acting surprised. We commercialize the pain, broadcast the grief, tell the youth to hustle, but hide the beef. We glorify the trap, invite them to the flames, just like Reagan brought the crack on planes back in the 80s when the streets got soaked. My people, my brothers, all got choked. Reagan said no trades, but we know the deal. He left us in the dirt. Man, that shit was real. I was just a shorty watching it unfold, old enough to see how we got sold. War on drugs, but it was war on us. Cops on our necks, no love, no trust. They labeled us thugs, beast on the block, made us kiss the pavement while they cleaned our clock. Prison became business thanks to Reagan's game. Free labor is the truth in America's name. Slavery's dead, man. That's just a word. Read the 13th Amendment, it's still absurd. They lock us in cages, serving time for life. Double digits for wisdom, cutting sharp like a knife. I'm here to say, the chains in the air, it's time we break free, start showing we care. No more flex.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. This morning, I'll be talking about when filming turns fatal, the Alex Pretti shooting and what it means for our streets. But before we get into all that, I got Don Tripp, Crowded Room, and I'll be right back right after this.
Alone in a crowded room, at times I feel out of place, and then I just run away, back to my hideaway. I never did fit in, I never tried to. No, I don't aspire to be anything like you. We ain't cut the same and we don't move the same. I've been who I am since before niggas knew my name. Still getting used to fame, still don't enjoy it though. Still not accepting no invite to no award show, cause I can't fake it for y'all. I can't fake it at all. I'm this close to dropping one more tape and then taking off. Superman gotta be stressed as fuck when that cape come off. Say today every day and still don't get to take a day off. Alone in a crowded room, invasion of private space. I'm giving this all I have. I need some time away. I need some time to think. Shit, I wouldn't mind a break. I live in a stopwatch, so I got no time to waste. I can't please you motherfuckers, be foolish of me to try. I give what's on my mind, if you don't like it, that's fine. No, really, I don't mind if I ain't your cup of tea. The truth is mighty bitter, I get it, you like it sweet. And I ain't sugarcoating shit, it just doesn't sit right with me. I feel like a referee, I call it just how I see. Even if you see it different, the way I see it's official. And ain't no do-overs after the whistle, you get it, I hope you do, I hope you put it to use. I broke the golden rule in this business, I spoke the truth and I never regretted it or spent a second guessing it. You can't be hesitant, cause chasing presidents is precedent. Niggas say it ain't he lying, cause I swear to death it is. In this life ain't nothing coming back around except your bills. And you probably wanna submit to all your problems. You got one day to feel sorry, after that let's get it poppin'. No excuses. My mind is a crowded room. I always feel out of place. I always feel out of touch. I always feel locked away. That's why I'm out the way, cause home is my hideaway. I let them peek inside and they invaded my private space. By giving you all I had, I need some time away. I need some time to breathe. Shit, I wouldn't mind a break. Giving them all I have. I need some time away. I need some time to breathe. I need a long live pill.
It was Crowded Room, Don Trip. This morning, I want to talk about a few different things. This morning, Tom Homan gave a press conference. I want to play that. And then I want to play Amy Koch. It's kind of funny they put a different whole name for her, but I do want to talk about Republicans breaking away from party. Was that a clear-cut criminal encounter? And then also I'm going to talk about, but here's the real issue. Too many elected officials, both Democrat and Republican, are quick to cave to political convenience instead of confronting the truth head on. But like I said, first I'm gonna get into Tom Homan. He had a press conference this morning, and that is something that I do want to play. So it's about 35 minutes long. I really want to try to just straight get through this. So I'm trying really not stop it very much. So let's listen to Tom Homan. And I know he gave a little, he talked at first and then he took questions, but it only lasted about a half an hour. So.
Too early, isn't it? Look, I've been given talking points, and I don't like reading speeches, never have, but my chief of staff did put some stuff down here in writing just to make sure I don't miss anything. So I'm going to be reading a little bit, and then we're going to open up for questions. I've been on the ground less than 3 full days. I got in here Monday. President of the United States called me Monday morning and asked me to deploy here. Got here Monday evening, and I'm staying till the problem's gone. But we've made a lot of progress in the last 3 days. Marcos Charles, he's running ICE operations here. There you go. Rodney Scott, Commissioner of Customs and Border Protection, standing here beside me. Good morning, I'm Tom Homan, the Border Czar for President Trump. I'm here on behalf of the President, along with U.S. Commissioner of U.S. Customs and Border Protection, Rodney Scott, and Marcos Charles, who's leading the enforcement effort here right now. I've been on the ground since Monday.
His ads.
To regain law and order in the city beloved by many, and work together to remove threats from the community. During the past administration, we'll all remember, more than 10 million illegal aliens entered this nation. Many were national security threats, public safety threats. We can't remember over 2 million known gotaways. 2 million people who paid more to get away. Why? That should scare the hell out of everybody. President Trump promised American people, including the residents of Minnesota, that he would work to ensure our communities are safe. And with that, this administration is absolutely focused on identifying removal aliens that pose a public safety threat and national security threats. And the numbers prove it. The data proves it. In the past few days, I've met with Governor Walz, Attorney General Ellison, Mayor Frey, numerous police chiefs and sheriffs, and I have more to meet. I'll also be continuing the dialogue with business and religious leaders in partnership with Minnesota, your community leaders. I'll be meeting with them too because I want to hear what they have to say. In my meetings with folks so far, and most important, the governor and the AG, the Mayor Frey, we didn't agree on everything. I didn't expect to agree on anything. I've heard many people want to know why we're talking to people who they don't consider friends in administration. Bottom line is you can't fix problems if you don't have discussions. I didn't come to Minnesota for photo ops or headlines. You haven't seen me. I came here to seek solutions, and that's what we're going to do. And we've come a long way, and we got some good wins for the people of Minnesota, I think. and for the administration and for the safety and security of this city. One thing we did agree on, though, everybody I talked to agreed on, was that community safety is paramount. One thing we all agreed on was U.S. Immigration Customs Enforcement is a legitimate law enforcement agency that has a duty to enforce the laws enacted by Congress and keep this community safe. Like I've said many times for the last several years, even before this administration, jurisdictions that refuse to cooperate with federal immigration authorities are sanctuaries for criminals. Sanctuary cities are sanctuaries for criminals.
That's kind of funny that he's talking about the sanctuary policies, because a lot of people think that they were that this is all new since Trump is president. No, that's not the case. These policies is all inducted by Congress. There's nothing that Mayor Frey can say, nothing that Governor Walz, because federal, that's always gonna win out. So when we have officers, and I'm glad that both Walz and Frey are saying now that, ICE is a law enforcement agency, because that wasn't their tune before, and people have honestly been killed because of that. Because I don't see people out here, and I'm going to talk about this a little later, but I had got into it with, I won't even say get into it, had a little conversation with Jeremiah Ellison, Keith Ellison's son. And it's like, I hear you. You guys are talking about ICE, but Minneapolis police and Hennepin County sheriff, prosecutor, y'all have done black people so wrong since the start of these goddamn entities. Let's be honest. How many people have Amy Klobuchar fucked over? Shales, Benton, whatever the hell her name is, Betsy Hodges. Like, it's happened. It's not just, that's the crazy thing, because they want to sit here and put everything on ice. And then we're having people call 911 to have police coming into a community that they don't even police. They don't even protect anybody to interfere with. And then we're talking about people are being racially profiled. Okay, the police departments have done that. Police departments have done that. And now, again, people are going to say, hey, but they're not getting any white immigrants. Listen, that's not true. I'll tell you this, though. I haven't seen no nigga, no black American sit here and give some kind of 15 minutes per fame interview, because they're not fucking with us. Let's be honest here. I'm more worried about the police and Hennepin, our sheriffs or state patrol. I'm not worried about ICE, because they're not here for me. I am an American. My family is American. My ancestors. And they have paid with their blood to get where we are today, and nothing has really changed. We're still looking at people in this. I'm not talking about ICE, but I'm still talking about these counties, these cities, that y'all talk about ICE, but you don't even want to deal with the black issues that we have in our own communities. That's really fucked up. That's really fucked up. And people will call me a bootlicker. No. Why am I the bootlicker when all I want to see is people do right so we can get this bullshit out of our communities? And that's not just ICE. That's regular ass community members who sell fentanyl, who do prostitution. I want all that shit out the community, because it's no place for that. There's no place for that in our community. There is none. That's why I don't have very many friends, and I'm okay with that, because it doesn't come down to politics for me. It comes down to right or wrong. Right or wrong. And the same thing that people say about Alex Pretti and Renee Good. My thing of it is, I'm not saying that they don't deserve justice, right? But they put themselves in a situation to be hurt. Black people are just walking down the street. And y'all want to talk about ICE jumping out vehicles. Okay, what's different than when we used to say that about the Minneapolis police and the Hennepin County sheriffs when they used to have the jump out boys? Like, come on, man. Y'all niggas be weird to me. Be really fucking weird. And I'm going to be straight up, because is it really about Trump or is it about these policies? Because these policies have been here. These policies have way before Trump. Way before Trump. Obama was called the deporter in chief because of how many people he deported during his administration. 3 million people. But during Biden's administration, they let 20 million people. I don't even know if this is true. I'm just saying the number that's out here. But they said 20 million illegals came across the border. So when we look at these operations in our communities, in our neighborhoods, in our cities and towns, they're here for a reason, because the last administration didn't protect the border. They were just allowing people to come in here. Didn't matter if they were criminals. Didn't matter if they had warrants back in their home countries, or if they were even in jails or prisons or mental health hospitals. And I know people are going to say, well, that's a Republican talking point. No, man, fuck your little label ass talks. That's the motherfucking truth. I'm not trying to make that partisan. That's things that it doesn't matter if it was Fox, CNN. Those are all the same fucking talking points that mainstream media has ran with. And we don't do nothing about it. So let me get back into Tom Homan.
And endangers the residents of the community. To be clear, we did not agree with Minnesota state and local officials that they would be involved in immigration enforcement. I didn't ask them to be immigration officers. I'm asking them to be cops working with the cops to help us take criminal aliens off the street. What we did agree upon is not to release public safety arrests back in the community when they could be lawfully transferred to ICE. I'll speak more about that. I will highlight that the Minnesota State Prison System under the Department of Corrections have been honoring ICE detainers. And we appreciate that important collaboration, and we're going to expand upon that. That decision has made Minnesota safer, not only for residents of Minnesota, but the men and women in law enforcement. Not just ICE, all law enforcement. Rather than arresting the same public safety threat, significant public safety threat over and over again, they agree to work with us to identify those people and remove them. I'm also pleased to announce I had a very good meeting with Attorney General Ellison, and he has clarified for me that county jails may notify ICE of the release dates of criminal public safety arrests so ICE can take custody of them upon the release from the jail. And let me tell you why that's important. I know people are a lot concerned about the manpower has been sent in law enforcement manpower. Look, I've said this many times before. I've said it for the last several years. Give us access to the illegal alien public safety threat and the safety and security of a jail. It's common sense. It's safer for the community.
Oh, wait, I'm going to let this play.
It's safer for the agent, and it's safer for the alien. Because anything can happen on a street arrest. It just makes common sense. And for the people that argue, well, we're a welcoming community because we want victims and witnesses of crime that are here illegally to feel safe to come to police without fear they're working with ICE. We're not going to talk to the victim and witness of crime. There's no problem there. They should feel safe to come to police and ask for help. All we want is to talk to the person that local and state law enforcement authorities locked in a jail cell. They chose to lock this person up. That's who we want to talk to, the public safety threat. So that argument is that protects victim witnesses of crime. It's a bunch of crap. Victims and witnesses of crime don't want the bad guy back in their neighborhood either. So great progress with the Attorney General and local sheriffs. And one thing, when we have these agreements, it takes less law enforcement agents to do the job. One agent can arrest one bad guy in the safety and security of a jail where he's behind the wire. We know we don't have weapons.
Right.
But when you normally release that public safety threat, illegal alien back in the community, we have a job to do. We're going to arrest him. So we're going to find him. And what happens is now we got to arrest somebody on his turf. We have access to who knows what weapons. Now we got to send the whole team out.
Right.
Cover the back door, cover the front door, officer safety reasons. Then because of the hateful rhetoric and the attacks on ICE officers, now we got to send a security team behind the arrest team. So what could have been done with one person in a safety and security jail, now we got 15, 16 people out there doing it.
Right.
I know that causes stress in the community.
That's a very good point, because if they would just, like, I can't say that all the people that they're arresting or that they're trying to deport or whatever are all criminals. I know that one of the people, a person that I know in the last couple of days had been picked up by ICE. I posted about it, and I'll show it to you after this. But to me, I've known ever since I moved to Rochester. That was 1994. And I started seeing a lot of refugees, whatever you want to call them. People start coming into our communities, right? That didn't really speak a lot of English. And I grew to know a family like that, and became very, very close. It was Ace, Sadik, and Amada. Rest in peace, Ace. We were thick as thieves. And I really didn't look at them any differently, even though that, like, growing up in Minneapolis, I didn't really see a lot of diversity like I do see now. Even when I went up north to my grandparents, you had majority white people, Native Americans, and then really it was only me and my sister and whatever grandparents had a mixed grandkid. It wasn't very big, but I could see the difference. And nobody treated Native Americans, or, first of all, my grandpa wouldn't let anybody call us the N-word or any kind of foul ass shit. So I didn't really see none of that shit. But really, when I moved to Rochester, that's when I did start to notice that I didn't go to high school or even elementary school. I could show pictures. I literally have pictures from when I was in school, elementary, and you would see Native Americans and white people and mixed people and black people. You didn't see all this different kind of Africans. I'm not saying anything bad about it, but you didn't see none of that. And then it just came over here. And then we pay. That's the one craziest ass thing that I've ever heard in my life, is that we have all these resettlement services. People are paid, and then the government does it. So now my question is, why are we sticking up for people that are here illegally when people who are here legally as Americans, our own American government has fucked them over, our own American judicial system has fucked them over, prosecutors, attorneys, elected officials, and we still allow these people in a position of power to do whatever they want? Because just this morning, Amy Klobuchar said she was going to run for governor. It blew my mind, because do not people see the headlines that are coming out with, like, Marvin Haynes or Banteros? You know what I'm saying? It's like, are we just not looking at the shit that we should be and just running with a narrative? Because that's what I feel like we are. We know that Amy Klobuchar, what she's done to the black community. Same thing with Keith Ellison. And again, we allow this shit. We allow it. The same thing when it comes to elections, right? And I know people, I'm going to show you, let me get into this though. There's like 27 minutes left.
So if we get these agreements in place, that means less agents on the street.
Mm.
More agents in the jail means less agents in the street. This is common sense cooperation that allows us to draw down on the number of people we have here. Yes, I said it. Draw down the number of people.
Right. If they would just
We
cooperate.
have the efficiency and safety of the jail
Right.
and the prison. Matter of fact, I have staff from CBP and from ICE working on a draw-down plan. What does that look like based on the cooperation? What does that look like based on how many targets we have left to find?
Interesting. Interesting.
In my meetings with Governor Walz, A.G. Ellison, and Mayor Fry, as well as state and local law enforcement, again, I appreciate they all acknowledge that we do have federal immigration laws in this country that have been passed by Congress, and that ICE is in fact a legitimate law enforcement agency charged with enforcing those laws. We're not making this up, folks. ICE is enforcing laws enacted by Congress. They're a federal statute. That said, I'm not here because the federal government has carried its mission out perfectly. First thing I said to senior staff when I walked in here is what I told you. I didn't come here looking for photo ops or headlines. I come here looking for solutions. I do not want to hear that everything's been done here has been perfect.
Right.
Nothing's ever perfect. Anything can be improved on. And what we've been working on is making this operation safer, more efficient, by the book. The mission is going to improve because of the changes we're making internally. No agency or organization is perfect. And President Trump and I, along with others in the administration, have recognized that certain improvements could and should be made. That's exactly what I'm doing here. As such, in meetings I've had with federal law enforcement managers, including ICE and CBP and other federal partners, as well as state and local officials, I have conveyed the President's expectations with regard to federal immigration enforcement efforts. We targeted enforcement operations. Targeted. What we've done for decades. When we hit the streets, we know exactly who we're looking for. Good idea where we may find them. You'll have criminal history. You'll have their immigration history. A lot of information about this person that we get from numerous databases out there. Targeted, strategic enforcement operations. That's traditionally been the case. And that's where we're going. That's what we're going to continue to do and improve upon that. With a prioritization on public safety threats. I want to be clear. I don't read a lot of social media. I don't read a lot of media. I don't believe half what I see. We are not surrendering the President's mission on immigration enforcement. Let's make that clear. Prioritization of criminal aliens doesn't mean that we forget about everybody else. That's just simply ridiculous. But when you have a criminal standing here and a non-criminal standing there, that criminal always should be targeted first because he's a significant concern to the safety and security of the community. By and large, for decades, ICE and CBP have carried out their duties with integrity, professionalism, and compassion. That remains the expectation under President Trump, and I will, hold our agents and officers to that standard. I'm almost done, and Tom can be Tom. As far as the agitators, that said, I want to reiterate and make very clear. I want to make it clear. ICE and CBP officers are performing their duties in a challenging environment under tremendous circumstances. But they're trying to do it with professionalism. If they don't, they'll be dealt with. Like any other federal agency, we have standards of conduct. They are sworn law enforcement officers working tirelessly to enforce our country's border security and immigration laws, protecting the interests of our country and preventing from walking the streets of this nation when they're not supposed to be here to begin with. Men and women of ICE, I was a border patrol agent. I was an ICE agent. I was the first ICE director that came up through the ranks. I spent over 40 years doing this. These men and women that carry that badge and gun are American patriots. They put themselves on the line for this nation every day. But I want you to remember, they don't hang their badge, they don't hang their heart on a hook every day they come to work. They're mothers and fathers too. They're sons and daughters too. And if they've seen a fraction of the tragedies I've seen in my career, they take a lot of damage home to every day. The things they've seen, especially on the border with border collisions. People drowning in the river. Women being raped by criminal cartels.
What can disqualify you from getting...
Yeah. Say that is true.
CPR to a baby that was thrown in the river by the cartels because Border Patrol came too close. So let's throw the baby in the river. That way the Border Patrol was concentrating on that so I can get away.
Wow.
These men and women see some terrible things. But I want you to remember, they're mothers and fathers too. Many of them are members of this community. God bless every one of them. The hostile rhetoric and dangerous threats and hate must stop. And we all agreed to that. All everybody met here today, we got to stop the rhetoric, the hateful rhetoric that has caused an increase in assaults. That has caused, because of that, having to send security teams out with arrest teams, which surge the city with additional resources because of the rhetoric, because of the threats, because of the assaults. Again, with the agreements we've achieved and following through the agreements, with the rhetoric dropping down, that allows us to pull more agents out once we feel the environment's safer. I begged for the last 2 months on TV for the rhetoric to stop. I said in March if the rhetoric didn't stop, there's going to be bloodshed. And there has been. I wish I wasn't right. I don't want to see anybody die. Not officers,
Right.
not members of the community, and not the targets of our operations.
I wish Mayor Frey and Governor Walz would come out and say some of the things that Tom Homan has came out and said this morning, because I do believe with the rhetoric and the narrative that comes out of Minneapolis and even the governor of Minnesota, that is what's getting people killed. That's what's getting people hurt. Because is that okay to do that? Let me ask you a question, right? Since now since Mayor Frey and Governor Walz consider ICE agents law enforcement. So this is okay because if those were Minneapolis police, y'all would protect them. You would do anything in the book. The same thing what y'all did to Derek Chauvin. Y'all, you know what's crazy is y'all threw Derek under the bus because you knew that if the truth really came out about, and it did, and people still didn't really pay attention to it because we have the civil rights investigation from MDHR, we have that, and then we even have the DOJ. Are we forgetting all that shit? Because we would rather deal with ICE when we still have a community, neighborhoods that are hurting. You have daycares that are scared. You have kids that go to school scared, supposedly scared. And that's because of the rhetoric that goes out. That's the adults' problem. That's the adults' fault. Because we're letting this go into kids. We're allowing this to harm the kids. Instead of just allowing these people, because that's the crazy thing, right? I know some of them maybe are actually part of an operation that's in the community. It's not always just in the jails, right? Because I'm literally seeing people that probably have not been in jail in like 10 years Because even with Fozy, he hasn't been to jail since I got out in 2012. Around that time, I haven't seen Fozy go to prison, but they still deported that man. So to me, it's not about the worst of the worst. So I really do wonder if Walls and Frey and Hennepin County, Ramsey, and all these so-called sanctuary policy cities and counties actually work with the government. I wonder how much we would see situations like Renee Good and Alex Pretti, because if we don't see that anywhere else, you might see little things like how people ram in their cars, like in Chicago, or you'll see them fucking up cars like out in California, but they haven't killed anybody. They haven't killed anybody. And the whole thing of it is, what's crazy is y'all won't even talk about Keith Porter, who was killed by an off-duty ICE agent. And they're protecting him. So why do we care about what they're doing to Renee Good and Alex Pretti when our own communities are still suffering? They're still suffering. Our education system is still suffering. Our judicial system suffering. We're worried about some ICE because this is what gets people money. This is what gets people paid. They're not paid to solve the other issues. They're not, I ain't heard nothing since Operation, all this shit went on in Twin Cities, right? I don't hear not much about the fraud anymore. I don't hear much about the violence interrupters, or even the nonprofits, because now everything is about these elected officials and what they're doing. The same thing with Omar. Somebody tried to, I don't know if it was, I do believe it was staged because that shit just played out with kind of weird. But we're seeing so much violence because we have elected officials with a violent rhetoric. Not with the honest rhetoric, because the more chaos it brings, the more distracted we become.
For the people out there who don't like what ICE is doing, if you want certain laws reformed, then take it up with Congress. Again, ICE is making this up. They're enforcing laws enacted by Congress and signed by the president. The same laws have been on the books for the last 6 presidents I worked for. I started with President Reagan and ending with President Trump. Every administration, we enforce the same laws.
Right.
If you don't like what ICE is doing, instead of protesting this building, go protest Congress.
Right. Tom Homan dropping facts today, boy.
You have your First Amendment right to protest. You have the right to protest. I'm just asking you to keep it peaceful. But threatening law enforcement officers, engaging in impeding and obstruction and assault is never okay.
Right.
And there will be zero tolerance. You interfere, impede, assault ICE officers, you will be arrested. Like I said a bit earlier in my meetings with Governor Walton Ellison and Frey, as well as state and local law enforcement, I appreciate they acknowledge this, that public safety should be paramount.
Right. That should be first.
The chiefs I've talked to committed to responding to 911 calls when protesters turn violent, agents are in a dangerous situation, and there's assaults. They have committed to upholding public safety and responding to the needs.
As they
not
should.
to enforce immigration law, but to keep the peace. With that, I call upon those officials to stand shoulder to shoulder with us to tone down the dangerous rhetoric and condemn all unlawful actions against law enforcement in the community. There are many ways your voice can be heard, express your feelings, and affect change in the country without crossing that line. Political and other disagreements in this realm should not be at the expense of public safety or the safety of federal law enforcement officers. In closing, I want to thank the state and local officials here in Minnesota I met with and the many I'm going to meet with. We've had meaningful dialogue. And look, again, we didn't agree on everything.
Right.
But we agreed on the things I just talked about.
Right. On federal law.
There's more we can do. I'm going to continue this dialogue. I got many more community leaders to talk to. I got many more sheriffs to meet. President Trump wants this fixed, and I'm going to fix it with your help. I want to thank President Trump for his unwavering commitment to public safety and prosperity of every American. Under the President's leadership, we have the most secure border in the history of this nation, which means less women are being raped, less children are dying crossing that border, less fentanyl is getting in this country to kill Americans, less known suspected terrorists are crossing that country. And we don't have 2 million unknown gotaways. We don't know who the hell they are. A secure border, we have stronger national security. A secure border saves lives. When 96% less people come in, how many women aren't being successful to been members of the cartel? How many people aren't dying making that journey? How many Americans aren't dying of fentanyl overdoses? How many women and children aren't being sex trafficked in this nation?
Responsible gun owners must know the law when they carry their...
It's so much deeper than that, though.
The data proves it. Anybody can find that data.
Because we need to have a whole conversation about all of this, the sex trafficking, the drugs, because our government is just involved.
The local and state college leaders meeting with me, we made some significant gains, significant coordination and cooperation, and you're going to see some massive changes occurring here in this city. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Holman, Giovanna Delor, through the Associated Press. Based on how you have described these changes in the mission, can you be more specific about the objectives of Operation Surge? If what you have described changes the parameters for interior enforcement only in Minnesota or also in Maine and other places? And finally, when would you consider that those objectives will be achieved and this operation will end? Or is it in terms of agents on the ground, in terms of who you are targeting for arrests?
The withdrawal of law enforcement resources here is dependent upon cooperation. Like I said, one agent less than one bad guy in jail means less agents on the street.
Right.
We have some agreements. We got more to talk about how we're going to implement those agreements. But as we see that cooperation happen, then the redeployment will happen. Look, target enforcement operations should happen across the nation.
Right.
That's what we've done for decades. And with target enforcement operations, I've done many of them. It just makes it safer for everybody. When we know exactly what we're looking for, what is his criminal history, what is his immigration history, where does he live, is he in an apartment complex versus a house, has he got a known record for having weapons, it's safer for everybody. Then we know what type of resources we need to go. And, you know, it just makes this operation cleaner, more efficient, and it's proven less violence. When we know exactly what we're getting into, and we can take the necessary precautions to keep everybody safe. You know, some of the operations that I've been involved in, we know there's children in the house.
Right.
Surveillance. So we know you got to be a little bit different when you go in that house because there's going to be children present. So target enforcement operations, the way we've always done it, I think we got away from a little bit. And we're going to make sure we do target enforcement operations. And look, and I will say it again, you know, we are not surrendering our mission at all.
Right.
We're just doing it smart.
Simone Prokopez from CNN. Mr. Holman, how did we get here? In terms of, you had Greg Bovino, who was the face of this immigration operation. The mission, as you say, to having border patrol agents in the interior of this country, stopping U.S. citizens, asking them for ID, creating this fear in places like Chicago and now here. And then finally, it took really the death of Alex Pretti for us to get here. How did that happen? Who made the decisions to allow this kind of operation to proceed in this way and to create such fear?
Well, look, the Border Patrol, in the last 4 years under Joe Biden, we had an open border where 10, 12,000 people a day are coming across the border. Border Patrol got overwhelmed, which means we sent thousands of ICE agents down there to help deal with that humanitarian crisis, to help secure the border. Now we have millions of people released in this nation. many unvetted. Now we got to find them. Before the big beautiful bill, we had a total just under 5,000 deportation officers to look for millions of people, many in public safety threats. So yes, we needed Border Patrol to come and help on our mission now. And reason for the massive deployment is because of the threats, because of the violence. Our officers need to be protected. If I'm on an operation, an arrest team, I'm going to a house, I got to be busy with that guy, the dangerous guy, and I can't keep looking over my shoulder at what's happening outside the house. So we brought extra resources in to provide that security. And as I said, as we drilled down on these great agreements we got and this great understanding we have means less. So we can draw down those resources. When the violence decreases, we can draw down those resources. But based on the discussions I've had with the governor and the AG, we can start drawing down those resources as far as those looking for public safety threats being released, and do it in the jail with much less people. So the drawdown is going to happen based on these agreements. But the drawdown can happen even more if the hateful rhetoric and the impediment and interference will stop. So Border Patrol, I was a Border Patrol agent. These men and women are patriots. God bless them. They're here to help us. And the drawdown will come soon, depending on when this actually, I see this in play. But the agreements to have a loan is going to cause a significant drawdown. So you're going to see a drawdown.
Just on a personal, you've been doing this for 40 years. Just a
Tom Holman.
follow-up.
First off, Ben Burkbaum, Real America's Voice News. On behalf of the American people, I just want to say thank you to you and to all of the agents that are putting their lives on the line to go after the people that were allowed in the last administration. We watched that happen in the media, the honest media, covered up by many of the media that are behind me. We want to say thank you, and to all the men and women that are out there. Can you talk to us about what's being done with the leadership on these signal chats, on these WhatsApp chats that are organizing the attacks against you, the obstruction against you? Are we going to be arresting those individuals as well? And to the folks out there in America that voted for this, that want mass deportations because they saw a mass invasion under Joe Biden.
Right.
What would you say to them? How are we going to get to that point?
Well, first of all, about the organization and the funding of the attacks on ICE. I'm not going to answer a lot about that because I'm not going to show our hand, but they'll be held accountable. Justice is coming. Again, we got to all remember why the questions we've seen and why we're here. What started this? 4 years of an open border, where millions of people are in this country unvetted. Remember, let's not forget, for 4 years we were told the border's secure. 4 years we were told the border's secure, and we all knew it wasn't. And I want this to be a positive thing we're doing here today. I also want to remember the politicians are continually attacking us.
I agree with Holman. That is a problem because our politicians are flaming their rhetoric. So we're seeing, that's the reason, to be honest, that's the reason why Renee Good and Alex Pretti are dead. It's because of our politicians. Let's be honest. Our elected officials are the same way why Black people have died in our communities for years, and they don't listen to us. It's because they don't care. It's not their, why do you see, I want people to look at this, right? You've seen people protest hotels and no accountability. Now, since Tom Holman's came down here, you've seen the Maple Grove. First of all, that's not Minneapolis. So definitely that's somewhere that doesn't take any of this shit like Minneapolis and Hennepin County, and even I'll even say St. Paul. It's not the same with Ramsey County, but it is like Minneapolis doesn't care. They don't go to these type of calls to try to help out until last night. And that is the problem. It's not, this is the thing that I want people to know, right? Because just like Tom said, there was targeted enforcement before. This isn't the first time. So why do we only care now? Is it just Trump? That's what I honestly feel like. It's just Trump. And of course, people don't want to speak up. And that is, to me, one of the biggest problems that we have in Minnesota, is that our so-called leaders, not elected, but our leaders, because they're getting paid, they're getting grants, they're getting shit under the table, that's our gatekeepers. That's the black churches, the nonprofit CEOs and directors who are allowing this infrastructure because it is funded. Maybe like I said yesterday, the protesters are probably not paid. Some of them are not paid, but I can guarantee you the people that are organizing, the people that are strategizing, the people that are doing logistics, those are all paid people. Those are paid puppets. All people that we're supposed to look up to. We're supposed to follow in their lead. But their lead is only making it worse for ICE. It's not making it any worse. Here's the thing that I want people to remember, right? You're putting officers in a predicament where they had to make bad decisions because nothing good is going to come out of it. Nothing. When we have, because everybody says, oh, they're just peaceful. They're peaceful. Do you really think that throwing water bottles that are frozen, there'd be, because it is a weapon. It is a weapon. Throwing rocks, snowballs, kicking the cars, breaking windows, spray painting. Do you honestly feel like that is a peaceful protest? Because you're going into this, the one thing that I want people to know, we're going into our own communities and we're fucking them up. We're fucking them up. Not the feds. They don't care. They're just here to do a job. They're just here, the same thing, the same way that Minneapolis police are in Minneapolis, the same thing with the Hennepin County, inside the jail and even out. Like, when are we actually going to stand up for something and not just fall for anything? I really want to know, because I really do feel like we have a society that would tell you that they're standing for something, and it's really just anything, because whatever's popular at that time, whatever gets the most money gets the most attention. And that's why you don't really hear the voices that should be heard, because all you hear is the paid puppets.
Where were they the last 4 years? When the number of women, children, sex trafficking went all-time high? Where were they when 250,000 Americans died from fentanyl coming across the border? Where were they when women and children are dying making that journey?
Right.
Where were they when over 4,000 families making that journey? That's a historic record. Where were they?
Right.
Not a word. Now we're just trying to respond to what happened the last 4 years and keeping this country safe. And we're arresting a lot of public safety threats, take them off the streets, which make this country safer. President Trump promised to make this country safe again, and that's what we're doing. But my 2.5 days up here, we made a lot of progress. I think everybody agrees on the criminal and public safety threats. They agree it's much safer and easier to arrest an alien in a facility than send a whole team out in the field that's going to draw anger.
Right.
Because now we got to send a bunch of people to do something that could have been done by 1 or 2 people. And I've said this for years. I have no ill will to anybody in Minnesota. All the people I talk to, we're never going to agree on everything. We have different philosophies and different opinions on immigration, but we all agree this is a way to go to reduce safety, reduce crime, reduce crime and increase safety for our operations. More people in the jail means less people on the street. It's simple math.
Lana Zach, CBS News. Everybody I've spoken with agrees that if somebody has a violent criminal history and is a fugitive, they don't want them as their neighbor. But when you're talking about a targeted operation, and are you talking about targeting people whose crime is coming to this country? Or is it a more specific definition now?
All operations will be targeted, but the prioritization are going to be criminal aliens, public safety threats, and national security threats. I've met with Marcos and his staff. We got a lot of them. We got a lot of them to keep us busy. So that's the focus.
But that is enough that's what, there is not going to be a focus on people who have no other crimes except for their status.
If you're in the country illegally, you're never off the table.
Right.
But prioritization doesn't mean you forgive about everybody. So let me say this. If the message we send is you can enter this country illegally, it's a crime, don't worry about it. You can have your due process, show up in court, not show up in court, get ordered moved, don't worry about it. Unless you commit a serious crime, you're good to go. If that's the message we send to the world, you're never going to fix this problem.
Right.
The most vulnerable people in the world will make that dangerous journey like they did under the Joe Biden administration. Over 4,000 aliens died making that journey. And again, a significant increase in sex trafficking. Because when they did that and opened those borders up saying, we're not going to detain you, we're going to give you free health care, we're going to fly to the city of your choice, put you in a free hotel room, give you 3 meals a day, and give you work authorization, we're just going to bring you in. And when they did that, they sent a message to the whole world, you can come and do this.
Right.
And what happened? They overwhelmed the men and women of the Border Patrol, where many days 70% of agents were pulled off that line. 70%. You don't think the criminal cartels had a field day with that? They created gaps for the cartels do their activity. And that's why you've seen the rise in fentanyl overdose. That's why you saw the rise in sex trafficking. The 2 million plus known gotaways, why did they pay more to get away?
Oh.
Why didn't they pay less, turn yourself in, get released within 24 hours? You get a free airline ticket to the city of your choice. We're going to give you a free hotel room, and we'll give you free food and free medical care. And you will get work authorization in 6 months.
Right.
Why did 2 million people choose to pay more not to take advantage of that giveaway program? They didn't want to be vetted. They didn't want to be fingerprinted.
He does bring up some interesting points.
Scares the hell out of me, and it does still. The Trump administration with ICE and Secretary Noem and Marco Rubio and the intelligence community, Tulsi Gabbard, we're all working together to try to identify who these people are.
Right.
And we've already found many of them. But it's hard work to do. But there are national security threats walking this nation because of the last administration.
That's, you know what? I'm going to end this little, there's only a couple minutes left anyways, but I'm going to end it right there because I want to go into, was the Alex Pretti, was it justified, not justified? I'll say this. Everybody can.
Whose facial recognition.
Let me just put this on first.
This is a moment the news movement filmed on January 13th in Minneapolis, showing a man who appears to be Alex Pretti interacting with federal immigration agents 11 days before Border Patrol shot and killed him. Our footage was analyzed by the BBC, whose facial recognition technology confirmed his identity to a 97% degree of accuracy. On the morning of January 13th, our team received a tip that federal agents were blocking a street at the corner of East 36 and Park Avenue in Minneapolis. We arrived around 10:15 a.m. We saw observers shouting at the agents as they walked back to their vehicles. When they started driving away, the man kicked their taillight. An agent then got out of the vehicle, grabbed him, and pushed him to the ground. During the altercation, agents fired tear gas and pepper balls into the crowd. They continued to hold the man down before they retreat and he walks away. The man in our footage is wearing a similar outfit to what Pretti was wearing on the day he was killed.
People are filming
what appears to be a gun is also
there is a gun
of his waistband. Here, he continues to stand at the scene. On the day he was killed, the Department of Homeland Security claims Pretti, a 37-year-old ICU nurse, approached officers holding a handgun. That claim has been contradicted by analysis of bystander videos from multiple news investigations, which concluded that Pretti was holding a phone, not a gun, when he was pinned to the street. Shortly after the altercation we filmed here on January 13th, federal agents drove away.
You know what's
Soon
crazy?
After that, we left the scene.
Is how do people think that this is peaceful? And this, I'm going to tell you right now, this is why people are dying out in the streets. It's because of the rhetoric from our elected officials. And we need to have a conversation about that. I want to talk about this for a little bit, and then I'm going to get into this Republican thing. So this morning, I wanted to respond, right? I wanted to make and I am going to keep on because he did respond to and they call me a bootlicker. He did end up responding, and he said, "What's the boot being licked here, Chaz? Worshipping the people doing the killing, you, versus appreciating the people holding the killers accountable. Me, help me understand." Now, I'm going to take that back, right? Because I said this: how am I worshiping because Minneapolis police and Hennepin County sheriffs have done more harm to the Black community than ICE is doing right now? Which is very true. Very true, right? And then Jeremiah says, "This is the most brain dead analysis, buddy. You don't have to pick. With all due respect, what the fuck are you talking about? Also, Mary oversees prosecution, not the sheriff's office. Condemning ICE does not absolve other abuses from other law enforcement agencies." Just last week, they weren't law enforcement agencies to you guys. So I don't understand. And he says this is a brain dead analysis. How is it brain dead when Minneapolis police and Hennepin County sheriffs and even the prosecutors at Hennepin County have done this to Black and brown communities in Minneapolis, and we don't ever act like this? We don't get out of hand like this. So why do we feel like we're more comfortable with federal law enforcement than we are with local law enforcement, when we know that these law enforcement agencies started from slave catchers? I don't understand that, because I will tell you like this. How many brothers died while Jeremiah Ellison was a city councilor? A lot. Same thing with his dad. His dad's got tons of blood. Timothy Magruder. Shit, he's got police blood on his hands. Jerry Hoff. Now, motherfuckers don't want to talk about that shit, but I will. Because I will say it like this: the Ellison family in Minnesota has tons of blood on their hand. And this nigga ain't never, this is the one thing that I want to say, not even for Ricky Cobb, Winston Smith, George Floyd, not even fucking George Floyd. Not even George Floyd. Because I remember a conversation that me and Jeremiah had all the way up Winston way. And he told me, deceit changes you. Deceit changes you. It's not about change anymore. Because once you realize that you're in these halls of power, you realize that you're just one person. They don't really care that you're from Ward 5. Because in Minneapolis, that doesn't really matter to them. What matters to them is, what side are you on? What side are you on? Because I will tell you like this: people in Jeremiah's neighborhood community, we had violence interrupter organizations buy a liquor store in our own community. How does that help our community? How does that help North Minneapolis? How does that help North Minneapolis? Because I will tell you right now, Minneapolis is a place where they love blind following. They love it. Because I will tell you right now, is that when Lisa Clemens' nephew, cousin, I don't know, it was some kind of kin to her, was killed They did something over in the Cub Foods across the street from where the danger was. And that's where we should have been. That's where we should have been. Same thing when it came to Union Liquor Store, 36th and Penn. But when we're out here screaming for unity, they don't listen to us. The same thing, I ain't never seen Latricia Vitar. That bitch cried more at Ilhan Omar shit than I have ever seen her cry for any of these black babies over north. I'm gonna be straight. When a nigga got shot, here's the thing of it is, right? We were doing this is all on video. All you got to do is go look the shit up. There was a shooting. We did. This is right before my stroke. This was January 1st. That's when we did Operation Hug the Block. This is all public information. You can go look it up. We were doing an event. It's called Operation Hug the Block. We had state senators come through. We had Minnesota representatives. We had a few council people. But we had to stop others like Bobby Joe Champion. He didn't come because we invited him, which we did. Same thing with Vitar. But do you think they honestly came from our invites? No, I had to stop Bobby Joe Champion because I noticed him behind a bus. Behind the bus on Penn, I said, hey, that's Bobby Joe Champion. And because he couldn't just sit there and go past the bus, he had to sit there. So again, he turned around the corner. I think it was on 35th and Penn. He turned the corner, came back around, chopped it up for a minute. We had a man out here from all the way from Philadelphia, which is crazy, Dr. Umar Daddy. A lot of people will not believe that, but this is Operation Hug the Block, came from an idea that he started out in Philly called Operation Hug the Block. He's done it for years about gun violence. We wanted to do that. So we sat out there from, I think it was 9 in the morning till 9 at night, about 12 hours. And we did all kinds of shit. Well, I don't know, there's a few people out there. A man was shot in the head, not more than 500 feet from us. And everybody got down. And then, of course, me and Marcus ran over there to try to see what we could do. And people were running through the man's pockets. A man was literally just shot, and people were running through his pockets. Nobody was sitting there trying to help the man. They were running through his pockets. I really don't know what's wrong with Minnesota, because we will stand up for anything, but not for something. I'm going to say that again. Minnesotans will stand up for anything and not something, because that's what we see. That's what we see. And honestly, that's the way that I feel like it's going to be for a while. I didn't share it yet. Whoops. Oh, whoops. The hell on me. Didn't change, show it. So this is Amy Koch and Jonna Shortstall, whatever her name is. They did an interview, and it was really talking about Republicans and how they're really changing their tune. And I do want to I want to talk about this because I really do feel like, as conservatives, I'm not even going to put us as Republicans, as conservatives, because we should hold up to our values. We shouldn't be wavering our stances on this. Yes, it is tragic. It is a sad situation that happened to Renee Good and Alex Pretti, but they were things that could have been prevented. If we would have had elected leaders who are actually leaders instead of followers, because they want the chaos. Because if there's chaos, we don't talk about the fraud. We don't talk about all the other bullshit that's happened in Minnesota, because all our focus is on ICE. Now tell me that's not fucked up. So I appreciate people like Walter Hudson. I know I've been kind of hard on Walter in the past, and we might not have the same ideologies, we might not have the same thoughts, the same actions, the same but I will tell you like this right now, is that you have one or two choices in Minnesota, right? Democrat or Republican. Because even when it comes to, and I say those two, because even with the Democrats, it's the DSA in Minneapolis. It's the DSA in Minneapolis, even though they consider themselves Democrats. So I'm going to play this Jonna Shortstall and Amy Koch. I know they say her name is Amy Frederickson or something, but I think they did that for a reason. Is because if they knew if they put up Amy Koch, they knew people already have a certain type of thinking about her. So what all that her shit came to, that her and Michael Brocourt were in an affair as Republican leaders in our Senate and in our state government. And should we really be showing these type of people? Because I will tell you right now, when it comes to this lady's values, I really think just because she's taking a certain position, and I wouldn't expect anything different, because I already think that Minnesota has a purple party, where the uniparty is a purple state, but people don't want to talk about that.
Welcome to Breaking the News Plus on this Wednesday night. I'm going to bring in a frequent guest, Amy Koch Frederickson. She has been on this show many, many times as our Republican political analyst. Tonight, things take a little bit more of a turn for a somber conversation because, yes, we're going to talk about politics, but we're going to do so as it relates to the shooting of Alex Pretti by Border Patrol agents in the city of Minneapolis this past weekend. Hi, Amy.
Hey, thanks for having me, Jana.
Appreciate your time. So, Amy, the reason I wanted to have the conversation with you is that we have seen not a large, but somewhat of a shift in tone by some Republican office holders after the shooting of Alex Pretti. In your political opinion, why do you think that's happening?
Well, and it should have happened, by the way, after the shooting of Renee Good. And I think that sometimes it just becomes difficult for people on either side of the aisle to sort of break with what their party is saying. You did see a few people speaking out, but it really got louder over the weekend after the shooting of Alex. So I talk about those. Obviously, both of those shootings, for me, they're of course they're one and the same, right? There is no difference. And after Renee was shot, I said any law enforcement operation where the use of deadly force was employed would pause what they were doing, investigate what happened, and know that something is wrong with your operation when that happens, right? And that didn't happen. In fact, the folks in charge made some really loud statements and really harsh statements about domestic terrorists and all of those things, instead of what they should have done, which is stop, investigate, and determine what went wrong. And that is where, and we can talk about all the other things too, right? The both sides, leaders kept political rhetoric at an all-time high. It was not helpful. But I just want to talk about like the operation itself, which was clearly having an issue. And so when it happens again, which neither should have ever happened, they were both completely avoidable. But when it happens again, I just think that, thank goodness, folks from both sides said, this is out of control. We need to.
I'm going to stop it there, because it's only out of control because of one side's rhetoric. ICE agents, like Tom Homan said this morning, there has been ICE targeted operations. But because there's so much conflict, they have to bring security teams. How can we not say that is wrong, people? How can we not? That's why I say, Republicans, stop wavering, because show me you really stand for something, not anything. And I'm really talking to any Minnesotan right now, because if you did the same shit to Minneapolis police, the same shit would happen. So why is it any different when it comes to ICE law enforcement? when that is a law enforcement agency. It's just federal. They're here doing federal laws, right? We all know this happens every year, right? Every time we get a new president, it's always some bullshit. We all know it. So is it only Trump that we're mad at? Because Obama did the same shit. He had targeted operations. Over 3 million. 3 million. That's what right. She labeled for the sanctuary, fraud, and illegal immigrant programs. And honestly, I believe that because you look at her character, when you look at her past, how can you say that this is a person that should be talking for anybody? When the same thing about Michael Broadcourt. I don't consider them Republicans, and that's part of the problem here. We have Republicans in our party. I'm going to say our party because I'm a registered Republican. I will be at February 3rd, 7 p.m. I will be at my motherfucking caucus because protesting, that hasn't changed shit. That hasn't changed shit. So now it's all of us have to get involved. If whatever you do, you should caucus February 3rd because we got to stop talking about being solutions and we're still out here doing problematic, because that's what it is. When we have this kind of rhetoric, because it's not okay if they were impeding local law enforcement, we would be saying fuck that. But because it's federal law and because we don't like the president, now we see it as an issue. But what about all the times that Minneapolis police and Hennepin County, here's the funny thing, right? While Amy Klobuchar talking about she's running for governor, can we please see the paperwork, the documents from Marvin Haynes' case? Because we know through transcripts and other documents that there was an investigation. There was something going on at that flower shop. We know something was going on. So before Amy ever talks about this old governor ass shit, can we please talk about all the people that you railroaded? Because we definitely need answers and not more questions.
We need to stop. We need to get a handle. We need to, even everyone's rhetoric it just became just like this horror. 2 Minnesotans are dead. And there's nothing right or political or good about that. There's just 2 Minnesotans dead.
I agree with you. I want to read what Republican Representative Nolan West told the Star Tribune. He said it is clear that Operation Metro Surge is causing more harm than good. It puts law enforcement officers.
I'm going to say this because I already have a problem with Marianne Rarick, Julia Coleman, and now Nolan Weston. Stop wavering for these bitch ass motherfucking Democrats. Why are you wavering on your points? That's why I really do feel like we are in a uniparty in Minnesota, because this is a lady, Amy Koch, just like Rob said, that she's lobbied for sanctuary policies, illegal immigrants. Is that a conservative? Is that a conservative? I want to be real. I want to be straight up. Is that conservative to y'all? Is that conservative? Because I will tell you right now, no, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. If you sat here and lobbied for sanctuary policies and for all these other fucking programs for these immigrants, you're part of the problem. The same thing with the NAACP in Minnesota. That's what I call the Rochester outfit. I call them Nigerians because their leadership is Nigerians. I call it Nigerians always asking Caucasians permission, because the only time these motherfuckers ever do a protest or anytime the white people tell them it's okay. Mayo tell them it's okay. Mayor Norton tells them it's okay. But when real shit's happening to the community, that nigga ain't nowhere around. He don't give a fuck. He don't give a fuck about Black Americans and the plight that we go through and the fight that we still have to go through after over 250 years as a country. As a country. It's crazy. So my thing of it, how are we going to take somebody that has values, who loves being a hoe, I'm going to say it again, who loves being a HOE, a hoe, a garden tool, a hoe. I don't understand. And people are going to be like, oh, well, you're not a Republican either. Man, fuck you. After what I seen yesterday in court with Michael Broadcourt, and then after watching this bullshit with her earlier, man, I will say right now, you motherfucking Republicans in this state are a bunch of coward ass bitches. I'm going to be straight up. Any Republican that is wavering about what happened, yes, it was tragic. But if the Democrat lawmakers, elected officials, the fucking police department, if they were doing their jobs, because they protect their own officers. So why aren't we protecting law enforcement who are federal? Because we have separation ordinances? Come on, y'all, that's fucking stupid. We cause the chaos that is in our own communities because we don't ever read the fine print. We don't ever read the fine print. Let me ask y'all something. Do you really believe that Minneapolis police, Hennepin County, any kind of county with sanctuary policies, do you actually think they're going to fight federal law officers if they see something fucked up happening? Because I've seen Ramsey County, oh, we're going to charge federal officers. How? They have immunity when they are out here doing operations. They have federal immunity. So if we're going to sit here and change something, we have to go after immunity. We have to go after the immunity clause, because when people do wrong, whatever law enforcement you are, no matter if you're ICE, Border Patrol, Hennepin, or I shouldn't say Hennepin County, but sheriffs, local police officers, any kind of that shit. If you do wrong, you should be held accountable. It shouldn't be go by, well, you're a Democrat, so nothing should happen. Oh, well, you're a Republican. Oh, well, never mind it. Just fuck it. Just go on doing what you do. No, this is the reason why people are in an uproar. It's because we don't ever see no accountability. My Uncle Willie, all the way back in the 1940s, was an innocent black man. I shouldn't even say man, but he was an innocent black teenager. They executed him not once, but twice for something that he never did. He lived the first time, but because they wanted to get rid of him, they did it again. So when are we going to, even with Emmett Till, how many cases have we seen in America where people don't do shit? But now it happens to white people. Now we get in an uproar. So black lives never mattered. It's greenbacks really matter. And y'all gonna say, well, he being racist. I'm talking about bills. Dead presidents. They don't give a fuck about no $1 bill. Who, the 20, the new 100, the 50s? That's what the greenbacks. Y'all want, oh, he's talking, he being racist. No, nigga, I'm talking about money. It's just easier for me to say greenbacks. So that's crazy. We have to really stand up for something, because if we don't, these motherfuckers will keep on falling if we go for leaders like this. Because I'm going to be 100 straight up. This lady is a hoe. The same thing with Mary Franson. She's a hoe. When you have tendencies, here's the one thing that is do I really see as a problem? Because how do we keep on putting up these leaders who have skeletons in their own closets that they don't want to deal with? The same thing with Mary Franson. They said, I can show you court transcripts that called her promiscuous, that she got off on people watching, having numerous sexual encounters with other people. But y'all trust that shit. Y'all trust these people who are in leadership to do something. They didn't do nothing when it came to Anton Lazaro. They never did nothing when it came to Justin Eichhorn. Y'all really think that was his first time with a teenager? With somebody under 18? Hell no. The nigga liked that. And he didn't care if he had to pay for it. That's how I think a lot of these niggas is. A lot of them. Because I can really honestly tell even in our judicial system, it's never about the truth. It's always about what we can prove and what they can show, because it's never about the truth. And I'm gonna be straight up honest. It's never about the truth.
Lives at risk, and it feeds the chaos destroying our state. Senate Republican Bill Cassidy on X, he is from Louisiana, said the events in Minneapolis are incredibly disturbing. The credibility of ICE and DHS are at stake. There must be a full joint federal and state investigation. We can trust the American people with the truth.
That's right.
I'm not reading a lot of statements.
Let me say something. How are we gonna, Governor Walz or even Mayor Frey, ask for an independent investigation and we'll trust them? You motherfuckers don't even want to be honest about all the fraud that's in our state right now. Y'all niggas keep on saying, oh, it's a lie. It's a fairy tale. But all this shit that we can see out in public, and it's crazy, motherfuckers ain't, that's the crazy. That's why I will be at my caucus February 3rd at 7 p.m. because I don't want to just talk about change. I actually want to feel it. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't care if you say you are a Republican. If you waver, I'm going to call your ass out, because that isn't a conservative view. That's not a conservative view. Amy, all these Republicans that are coming to speak out, you're part of the problem. You're part of the problem. Because a true conservative will tell you like this, and I'm going to be straight up honest, right? Renee Good or Alex Pretti should not have happened. And it happened because we have irresponsible Democratic and even some Republican legislators who don't see what Renee Good was doing was wrong, or the fact that Alex Pretti thought he was okay to squabble with federal law enforcement. Because I will tell you right now that if you squabble with Minneapolis police or Hennepin County sheriffs or Brooklyn Center, y'all niggas gonna go to jail. I didn't even, this the crazy thing. I fake like I spit at police. And because it was an intent, I just got off probation from last year, December of last year. Not even a month yet. Oh, wait, it's actually been a month because it's after Christmas. Because I found out, I think, 2 days before actual day of Christmas. But I never even spit at no police officers. The video even showed I never even spit. But they didn't care about that, because all they cared about was that I was disrespecting police officers. And y'all, these people do it to the federal ones all fucking day. But y'all weren't in the uproar. The same thing when they manhandled Katie Wright. I didn't see people get mad. I was still asking for Dan, I forget his fucking name now, to be fired, to be at least face some kind of accountability, because he knew what he was doing wrong once she said her name. And once she said her name, and he was like, oh shit, I better do something. Come on, you're right there already showing that you did something wrong. You're already showing that you did something wrong. So instead of being accountable, they just swept it under the rug. Oh, we'll just make sure that we'll get Chaz Neal, because we don't want to make it seem like we don't care about our police officers. That's why I say, fuck Brooklyn Center, Reggie Edwards. That's why I was glad when that nigga got fired. Because the same week that I got off probation, Reggie got fired. And this was a man who I was trying to bring the strong mayor out to Brooklyn Center with Mayor Elliott, Mike Elliott. I got pictures from this shit. It was me, Joe, a few other white people. But it was my own kind. It was my own people that I was marching with, that were stopping me, that were trying to be a cog in the system. And I didn't hear black people speak up for that. I even went to Brooklyn Center City Council. And I confronted Reggie and Barb, because they fucked over the people in Brooklyn Center. And instead of people standing up and fighting back, y'all let that shit happen. So when I seen, here's the one thing, because I'll say elections have consequences. So now when you look at that city council and you see April Graves, you see Dan, who's a police officer as well, but now is a city council member. And then you have the other lady, Lori, I don't know what the fuck her name is. But elections have consequences. Y'all let these people come in here and put how much money into elections, not for the people, because that strong mayor, that would have strengthened Brooklyn Center. And it could have been something that other cities could do, because that city charter, no matter if it was Brooklyn Center, Minneapolis, Red Wing, everybody should have been attacking their city charters. And that's why I was glad when I had an individual that took me, I won't even say took me under his wing, but showed me, not just, he wasn't sitting here trying to be, because Kent Logan did a fucking lot for me. And I will always be grateful for him, because if it wasn't for Kent Logan, I wouldn't even known about the city charters and the constitutions and all this, because he made me want to look up ethics and see what is right and wrong when it comes to government, right? Because we shouldn't, just because it says it's okay, doesn't mean that it's morally okay. Doesn't mean that it doesn't weaken your values, because that's what happened. That's why I say white supremacy, racism, it's a team sport. It's not just one individual. So that's why what I learned from my proclamation in Red Wing, because it wasn't doing shit. It was nothing more than a piece of paper with a bunch of words, because when it actually came down for change, they made sure that there wasn't no teeth in it to make sure that they had to do things. That's what people don't understand. And yeah, I was happy when they passed it and signed the resolution, because I felt like I actually had did something. But when I had got more wiser up here, more brain power, to see that resolution wasn't worth any more than the letters that were on that resolution, because it didn't mean nothing. Even when it came to the Strategic Racial Equity Action Plan, the SERP, they made sure that the teeth weren't in there, because I don't know how many people, to be honest, if it wasn't for Mike Holmes, Cholaway, Red Heart, I really don't feel like I would have got anywhere, because it was those three that made me, I shouldn't even say made me, but motivated me to want to do better. So I know I had my problems with a bunch of them. And what I noticed is that some people think they have the same dream for the touchdown, you know what I'm saying, for the same play, but it's not like that. It's not like that at all. And I'm starting to find out there's a lot of Democrats that I do not like, and there's even some Republicans. But because I feel like they waver on their points, even the same thing with Julia Coleman. I feel like she wavers on her points. For what? It's like, what are you doing? I don't understand. Like, what is this what we're doing? So let me see if I can find the letter. I think I did post it on here. That's Amy Klobuchar. Let's see. I got that yesterday too. Well, hey, I'm gonna play this because Walter had some fucking good points.
Here in Minneapolis, they say you have the right to observe and film. They say you have the right to carry a gun if you have a permit. Now, of course, both of those statements are true, but both of them are completely misleading when ripped out of context.
Right.
Because what both of those statements do is substitute slogans for circumstances. And circumstances are everything.
Argument. Well, Walter Hudson.
Let's start with the gun. Yes, in Minnesota, if you have a permit, you can carry a firearm. That's absolutely true. But every concealed carry instructor in this state will tell you the same thing. The moment you choose to carry a firearm, your responsibility goes up,
right,
not down. You don't become more entitled to engage in confrontation. You actually become more obligated to avoid it. Here in Minnesota, we have what's called a duty to retreat, which means if a judge later decides after the fact that you could have reasonably avoided a conflict, even if you felt threatened at the time, you could still go to prison for using your firearm.
Yeah.
That's not theory. That's the real law here in this state. And anyone who teaches carry knows it. So the idea that a carry permit somehow entitles someone to walk into an active area of federal law enforcement, get into a physical confrontation with armed agents, and then claim, well, I had the right to be there. That's not how any of this works at all. If anything, being armed creates an elevated duty to stay away from such volatile situations. Because now, by doing that, you're introducing lethal force into the environment, you're increasing the perceived threat to officers, and you're dramatically narrowing their reaction window. Now, that's not politics, that's physics. Now let's talk about the filming aspect. Yes, of course, you have a First Amendment right to record police, that's true, but that right has limits. Even professional journalists can't just walk into an operational zone and demand whatever angle they want. They're required to follow lawful orders. They're required to not interfere with the operation. They're required to respect safety perimeters, because filming and documenting does not override lawful operational control. You don't get to insert yourself into the middle of an arrest and say, I'm the press, I'm a citizen journalist, I'm observing. Because that's not observation, that's interference. And here's the problem with how this is being discussed right now in the public. People are using abstract rights language to excuse concrete behavior. They're saying things like, well, he had the right to carry. He had the right to film, without asking, were his actions those of someone trying to avoid conflict, or were his actions those of someone inserting himself into conflict? And those are very different things. Carrying a gun does not give you license to approach law enforcement and interfere with their duties. Filming does not give you license to defy lawful orders. And neither of those activities creates immunity from the consequences when things predictably escalate. And this is where context matters. Was this a peaceful sidewalk interaction? Or was this the middle of an enforcement operation? And the answer is obvious. Was this passive observation from a distance? Or physical proximity and confrontation? Was Pretti retreating or advancing? Those questions shape the case, not your slogans. And here's what bothers me about the way this is being framed. It trains people to think that their rights are shields from consequences instead of responsibilities. It tells them, well, just invoke the magic words, gun rights, press rights, protest rights, and reality will bend around you. But it doesn't. Reality responds to your behavior. Law evaluates your choices and actions. And officers in the field don't have the luxury of freeze frame hindsight. What they see is distance, movement, compliance, resistance, threat posture. And you have 100% control over all of those factors. You choose whether to approach. You choose whether to comply. You choose whether to resist, and you choose the posture and temperament with which you engage, all of which is relevant to whether you are exercising your rights lawfully or committing multiple state and federal crimes. Now, none of this means that we definitively know whether the shooting was justified. The most up-to-date analysis at the time of this recording suggests a great deal of confusion during the struggle, potential accidental discharge, and decisions made in the moment under disorienting circumstances. Investigators will determine all of that. What we do know is that the standard for deploying lethal force is not correctly believing that you're under imminent threat, but reasonably believing that you are. So even if this turns out to be a mistake to one degree or another, it likely won't turn out to be a crime committed by the officers involved. And that's because that's the way it should be, because these officers and all officers must make split-second decisions in chaotic circumstances which are created by the subjects they interact with. Their decision to fire never would have been made if Pretti had maintained appropriate distance, not charged forward, complied with lawful orders, stopped resisting, and not maintained a threatening posture. He made those choices, which led to the officers making theirs. So the conversation becomes dishonest if it only asks, did Pretti have the right to do X?
Right.
Instead of asking, did Pretti act in a way that someone with those rights is expected to act under the law? Because rights without responsibility aren't liberty. They're license for chaos.
Right.
And when chaos meets armed law enforcement, people are likely to die. If you want to carry, you must avoid confrontation. If you want to film, you must avoid interference with lawful operations. If you want to protest, you must avoid impediment. Those aren't my political opinions. Those are the laws of our land. And pretending otherwise doesn't honor Pretti. It endangers the next guy who thinks that some slogan will protect him from the predictable consequences of his actions. The tragedy here isn't just what happened, it's how people in influence are talking about it, and what the public is inferring from those misguided and inaccurate comments. The public is being taught by far too many, you're entitled to walk into danger. No, you're obligated to stay out of it.
Right.
And until we start talking about that part, we're not talking about what actually matters. Today's video is sponsored by TireGit.
Damn, I gotta say that I never thought I would agree with Walter, but that one I really do. No, this is a video. It was on his own X page, but it was a video that he did earlier. I know it was after the Alex Pretti shooting, but I really do believe that was Walter had a very good point, and I think that people aren't looking at the whole picture. They're just looking at one side of it, and I do feel like that is a problem, because when is it okay? When is it? You know what I'm saying? The man wasn't protesting. So should you be interacting? I shouldn't even say interacting, because he was more confrontational with federal law enforcement. And because he thought that was okay, because our elected officials are saying that is okay, when it's really not, because you're impeding with federal law enforcement. So would you do that to Minneapolis police, Hennepin County? That's what people really need to think, because I can bet you that none of them would have did the same shit. If it would, instead of ICE, you put that as Minneapolis police in Hennepin County, people aren't jumping in it. Because how many times have we seen car chases from Minneapolis police, and they've killed community members in our own community? People that were just minding their business. People that were just minding their fucking business, and they still died. Because I'm going to tell you right now, we really have some reckless ass law enforcement. Even if it comes, I will say it like this, right? I've grown over the last 6 years, and I can say it like this, that situation with Renee Good and Alex Pretti was avoidable. It was preventable, because if our elected officials would just allow people, especially federal, to do what they need to do, we wouldn't have this chaos. Because just like Tom Homan said this morning, you wouldn't need all these federal security agents to secure the ICE agents, because Minneapolis police and Hennepin County doesn't want to do that. Now, they would do it to their own, but because it's federal and we have this separation orders, or we have these sanctuary policies, it's a problem, because people are getting hurt. People are dying, because I will tell you right now, the the sense of responsibility is thrown out the window. As long as the person's protesting and they're standing up for what people believe are wrong, it's okay. That's not right. That's not the law. So people get mad at these titles that people have and these positions. It's because we voted them in. The same way when it came to Amy Klobuchar. I'll bet you this, right? I'm not going to see not many black Democrats come out and hold Amy Klobuchar accountable. Because you know about Marvin Haynes. You know about Roberto Barrentos. Come on now. Are people actually going to hold Amy Klobuchar accountable? Is Bobby Joe Champion? Latricia Vitaw? I can guarantee you they're not. They're not, because they're going to vote for her. And that's what's really, really crazy, man. That's what's really, really, really dangerous, is that we have elected officials who believe that their rhetoric is okay and that it's all right. That's part of the problem. Because if you impede, or you interfere in targeted federal operations, you're going to be arrested. You're going to maybe be beaten and shit, depending if you got a weapon or not. And it doesn't matter if it's a gun or a car, and you try to hurt federal law enforcement officers, you're going to be carried by 6. Instead of letting 12 people decide at whatever your actions you were doing were wrong. But instead, you're letting these federal law enforcement officers, who only see impeding and obstruction, they don't see all the other shit. They don't see that, because all they're hearing is ice out, whistles. Y'all are making these scenes more chaotic than it needs to be. And that's what people really, really, really need to think about. I'm going to get up out of here for the day. I'll be back tomorrow. But I like Laverne Turner's. It probably wasn't an idea, but I think I am going to ask Walter. And I know he's got court here in a little bit, and I'm only going to say this because the person put it out there. Actually, I'll show that to you first. So I told you that I went to court yesterday, and I was never given the opportunity to actually talk or anything, but I was just going to stand up because what I felt was wrong was happening, and I feel like it was my duty to stand up and say something, and that's what I did. I'm not voting for Thomas Evanstad, but I do feel like what's happening to him is an injustice, and it needs to not, like, that's crazy. Let's see, where is that at? I know he posted something yesterday. Oh, maybe not. Maybe he just took it down. Okay, yeah, no, here it is. So he says, update. I appeared in court today, Zoom, as Thomas Evanstad contested the HRO I was granted against him in November. In advance of today's hearing, my attorneys filed a motion to stay the proceedings as Evanstad was deemed incompetent in his separate court case. I want to talk about this, right? Only the state's mental health provider has found Thomas to be incompetent. Now, his lawyer and the mental health doctor that they had do it didn't see him as incompetent, and are choosing to fight it. So I really do think this is bullshit. And to me, when I seen Michael Broadcorp and all this yesterday, I will tell you right now what I think of the man. He is a coward for especially the things that, and yes, Thomas, I had a talk with Thomas, and I told him that I probably would have had a similar reaction, but I already know that Broadcorp's got 2 attorneys, and I'm just sitting here being pro se. So I'm already knowing that the odds aren't very good, the same way that I went to in my own court case. But to see how these people, like his lawyer, was laughing and I get it. People see passion and emotion, or I shouldn't say emotion, but frustration as anger. But you've never been in a position of having been shitted on and nobody listens to you. Nobody listens to you. So, of course, because I was in prison with Thomas. I was in prison in Lionel Lakes, and I haven't seen him face to face. It's only been interactions on social media. We did have 2 phone conversations yesterday that were very good. And he knows that I'm not going to vote for him. And I told him why. And from my understanding, I feel like he understood and could see my point of it. But that doesn't mean that I want him out of the race or anything like that, because to be honest, I don't think the guy that I'm endorsing is going to get very far. I'm just being honest. That's how politics works. I hate to say it, but it's a popularity contest. It's not about who has the best policies or who's got the best ideas. It's about who's the popular, who's the most important. I shouldn't even say important, but who's the most popular. All right. So the motion requested that my HRO remain in effect until Evanstad is deemed competent and has the mental capacity to participate in court proceedings, or when the HRO expires in November 2027, whichever comes first. To support the motion, an affidavit was filed documenting Evanstad's aggressive communications towards an harassment of my attorney. The judge granted my request to stay the proceedings. During the hearing, Evanstad was completely, he wasn't unhinged. That's why I honestly think Michael Broadcorp is a pussy. I will literally call this bald-headed midget a pussy, because I seen it with my own fucking eyes yesterday that man is a coward. And anybody that stands up for him please unfriend me, unfollow, because you like coward. You like coward culture. Because that's how I seen it. The behavior displayed by Evanstad in court today was terrifying. He is unstable and dangerous. And he showed exactly why I need the protection of an HRO. Again, the HRO remains in effect. I'm thankful to the court for keeping the HRO in place and to my attorneys for their work. I will say it again. Michael Broadcorp is a pussy ass bitch. If you would see Thomas Evanstad, and this is not any disrespect to Thomas, and I told him this yesterday. Anybody that looks at Thomas and you have fear in your heart, you are a coward ass bitch. And I'm going to say this, you're not even a man to me anymore. You're a bitch. The same thing with Amy Koch. These are not Republicans to me. These are paid puppets. So again, to be honest, we need to leave these people alone, let them do them, because it's not good for us. I'm going to be 100% honest. It's not good for us. So with that being said, man, I'm going to get up out of here. That was, it was a lot. It's kind of heavy, but I do feel like it's conversations that we need to have on topics and ideology. Shouldn't people be hating, because you're not doing anything different than the gangs out here. You're not being any different from the streets. If we're going into politics thinking that we're going to click up, oh, I'm going to get with the Democrats, so now I'm just going to be Democratic. No, I went through that. I call myself a Republican, and I do that because of the Renee Good situation. The babies turned me conservative. Renee Good turned me to a Republican. Because I don't want to I don't want my name attached to anything Democratic. Because it's all bad. It's a bunch of bullshit. So with that being said, I will see y'all tomorrow, same time, same place. Here is Billy Gang Cushington, Rent Due, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Win or fail, freedom or jail, heaven or hell, wish me well.
Beat start, nigga it coming in on my post, it caught my son a retard. Shawty be coming in on my post, that bitch ain't got no regard. Nigga it called the police and I was on the run, he got him a reward. Big condo with a key card, when I be taking pictures, nigga my partners charge a fee for it. I go FO1s, you know them designers make my feet hard. I might go to Texas, hit up Johnny to make my teeth hard. Black trucks on the fleet guard, crack cook on the street guard. Nigga I cook up work I sold her for. Bitch so bad when she asked for money, I done it, feel like I owe the hoe. Nigga I'm so booked up these days, nigga, I don't even know where I supposed to go. I don't even know why I real with all these bricks, but nigga, it's supposed to snow. Nigga, I supposed to be one of the ones. I'm running a circle around these little niggas, I'm jumping on hurdles around these little niggas. I ain't wearing no purple around Perky around these little niggas. I'm wearing that purple around these little niggas. I'm paying for murders around these little niggas. Nigga, that's not breathing flow. Man, I'm so motherfucking sick and tired of hearing about Jesus flow. Nigga, I came from the bottom floor. Ain't it crazy how the famous people was above me? Now I got stars.